Golden Spiral Media presents The Blacklist Exposed.
Hello, special agents. You have come to the right place. Welcome to The Blacklist Exposed. I am Agent Troy Heinrichs. We are here with a special edition of The Blacklist Exposed with our Season 1 special archive episodes. The following episode appeared on the TV Talk Network for Season 1 of The Blacklist, and we're bringing it to you here on The Blacklist Exposed, remastered and used with permission from TV Talk. We hope you sit back, relax, and enjoy this special episode from Season 1.
You're tuned in to TV Talk, The Blacklist. Welcome to TV Talk, America's #1 TV talk show network. And now it's time for TV Talk, The Blacklist.
Veins in many faces and paying cash for older spaces. An interesting yet somber episode of The Blacklist this evening. Welcome to TV Talk. I'm Troy.
And I'm Dave. Happy to be back again this week discussing Episode 7 entitled Frederick Barnes, number 47 on The Blacklist, airing November 4th, 2013. Before we start tonight, we'd like to thank Debbie from Kentucky for answering our talkback question last week. And remember, you need the TV Talk app to answer those questions or leave any comment that you'd want to share with other fans of The Blacklist. So you download that app today at tvtalkapp.com for your iOS or Android device.
Also, we want to give a big shout out, a huge welcome today to the listeners over on iHeartRadio Talk. TV Talk and TV Talk The Blacklist are now on iHeartRadio for your listening pleasure, and we welcome all of you to the family. And in case you are new to TV Talk, you can catch all of the episodes of The Blacklist all the way back to our season preview show right here on the TV Talk iHeartRadio station, iTunes, Stitcher, and of course the TV Talk app, even on the website if you need to listen to us. So just a big thank you for all of the new listeners over at iHeartRadio for joining us, because what a great special guest star this evening, Robert Sean Leonard. He is one of the prime actors, I think, in Hollywood, being able to play almost anything.
Yeah, he's just great. And Blacklist has shown that, they're good at bringing in these guest stars. Remember, we had Tom Noonan a couple episodes back who played a very memorable character. And I think Robert Sean Leonard pulled it off again as Frederick Barnes.
Yeah, I was really worried because, obviously he played Wilson on House, Dr. Wilson, for the longest time. And then, of course, recently he's kind of the crazy mad scientist on Falling Skies. So is he going to be able to portray a dastardly villain walking around with his metal briefcases?
And that's just it. He comes across as creepy. I want to call him creepy. That whole opening scene where he leaves that initial briefcase and the girl tries to give it to him, just to look in his eyes, it just really creeped me out.
Oh, you go to church. That's a good thing because you're about to die.
When's the last time you talked to your dad?
So, of course, he attacks a subway, and for some reason, it seems like the Red Line, there was a movie, The Red Line, about in L.A., and, of course, the Red Line in Chicago has been under construction and just reopened, and now the Red Line in D.C. is getting bombed and spraying this chemical warfare. I thought for a minute, as the veins started popping on people's faces, that Fringe had returned to television.
Yeah, and it was kind of a low-key attack. It wasn't an overly violent. I mean, it just kind of sprayed the stuff and the people kind of fell over. What I found really kind of disturbing, and dare I use the word gutsy, is the fact that they actually showed children being attacked in this scene. It just really, for primetime network TV, I thought that was a really disturbing call.
Which was really kind of the key point of tonight's episode, because when you think about it, having a chemical attack usually means that you're trying to target some kind of either special strain of DNA or some specific blood type. So really, you have to be kind of impartial to the age factor or even, ethnicity factor or religious factor when it comes to this type of terrorism plot, because you really want to make sure that your chemically engineered weapon is going to work on everyone.
Exactly. But we go right from that very intense opening to Lizzie and Tom redecorating their kitchen.
Which I don't know why that would be a problem. Bloodstained walls, you might want to repaint a little bit.
Definitely. I think that's kind of where they were going. They're looking for the fresh start, if you will. But things seem to be going well for them. All that tension and mistrust seems to have dissolved away.
And you have to kind of repatch that up. I mean, if you assume that Red was truly putting these boxes into place based on last week's episode, his and even Gina Zany Tacos, as we're calling her now. If you think that Red just kind of placed all that stuff there, then, you have to move past it and say, it's not that I mistrusted you, or, not that I was mad at you for mistrusting me. You just have to say that, we were all manipulated. Let's just move forward, which I think is what they're trying to do. But the bigger question I have is that if they are truly remodeling, and of course we see towards the end of the episode that they've pretty much moved all the furniture out and have the plastic up there, maybe a little throwback to the Stewmaker episode even. How can they not find the bugs and the cameras and everything else that Mr. Appleeater's put in the apartment?
That's true, but we didn't see anything of Mr. Appleeater in this episode. There was no, we didn't see any surveillance from inside the house. Am I wrong in that? Did I miss anything?
No, it never showed it there. So that's why I was waiting for it towards the end of the episode. They kind of focused on the lamp. And then there was something on the lamp just as the lamp tipped over, of course.
Tipped over and
broke
right.
the light bulb. So maybe they were watching. You're assuming they're watching. I just don't understand how they couldn't have found one bug.
Exactly. When they're completely emptying the house except for a lamp and a thing of Chinese food.
Yeah. Gotta love Chinese food. It's always a staple.
I'll tell you. But Lizzie and Tom's solace is quickly interrupted by a phone call from everyone's favorite FBI agent, Mr. Wrestler. Says, turn on your TV, something going down.
The something going down is big because it's happening right in D.C. And when things go down in D.C., things get a little bit crazy around there on Capitol Hill.
They take it seriously, do they not?
They do, unless people are trying to call in and basically clog up the listener helpline because they just can't get through any other way.
So, and Red does just that. Red calls in with a hot tip to Liz, as tends to be the case with this show. He's in another one of those inconspicuous back rooms. This time he's getting fitted for a suit.
If there's anything that you know about Red, it's like if you're going to be traveling around, meeting with international criminals, you have to look your best.
Apparently, it always amazes me, though. Every episode he's in some dungeony looking place doing something illicit.
And of course, every time he's there, he's always wearing such the finest clothes.
But as always, Red holds the information for what has happened. He knows what's all going down.
And he basically shares with Liz that either we can work together or I can just leave with my information and you guys can figure it out yourself.
And of course, they smartly embrace his help once again. And he outlines Mr. Barnes, what he stands for, what he does, who he is. Basically, he's a government hired contractor who's kind of gone a little rogue. He's very gifted, very intelligent.
But the interesting thing about the whole thing is that they find radioactive material in this chemical agent that he's engineered. And of course, it's this chemical agent that Red is going to use to find out how to find Frederick.
The disease he was spreading, I first thought they were saying curse, but I think, were they saying curs?
Yeah, it could be curse, could be curse. Like, I think they switched around during the course of the episode myself, because I heard curse one time. I heard the child's mother call it curs, and then I heard curse again.
But we find out that this disease occurred, we'll call it curs, has been mutated. What normally takes years to kill now takes 2 minutes. And basically, when you're infected with this, all the major arteries in your head explode. That doesn't sound like a good night.
Yeah, no, not at all. Even if you're in Cuba trying to find radioactive material, because curse disease or not, radioactive material doesn't really pan out too well. Whether you're Zamani back from the pilot episode of the Blacklist, or you're this new guy that Red is meeting with down in Cuba, but of course not before he has a small snack.
Yes, he has himself a little pastry, and then it's into the back room to meet Manny, who Dexter fans will recognize as Angel from Dexter.
Oh, that's right. I was trying to figure that out. Good to see him. I was totally figuring that out myself. I was like, I've seen him before. Where was he on Dexter? That's right.
That's it. He was Angel from Dexter. But Manny deals in this stuff. He makes his money doing this. I believe they called it something like Strontium 90. is what they were looking for?
Yeah, it's like the waste material from nuclear reactors, and only 3 people in the world apparently that Red knows can handle this stuff, and 2 of them are dead. So, man,
two of them are taken out already. He's saying he's going to need a couple weeks to get as much as Red's looking for. Red kind of pushing him around a little bit, playing a little hardball, and he also leaves a little tracking device or listening device up underneath the table.
Yep, so they were able to track the call, find out where he's going to be, and of course, Frederick is in Arlington at the courthouse trying to find his next potential group of subjects that he can do these experiments on.
Yes, and he's got that silver briefcase again, and he's in a courthouse. I found this scene to be, again, particularly creepy because he goes in pretending to be a juror, and of course, when they ask him for his summons, he's like, "Oh, I left it out in my car. I got to go get it." Leaves the suitcase behind and proceeds to strap the door shut.
Yeah, you do a lot of horror stuff in your other life, Dave. So,
yes,
we talk about mad scientists and Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and all this stuff. I think the scarier mad scientist, being that we're just after Halloween when we recorded this episode, I think the scarier mad scientists are the people that just play off as normal people because there's nothing really strange about the conversation he has other than he sets the briefcase on the floor and nobody notices it.
Right, exactly. And you're 100% right. That is the scary stuff. The scary people aren't the ones that look like the bad guys, or the ones that look like your neighbor that you've known for 20 years, who's got somebody locked up in the basement. And that is what's scary. And that's what they play off with this episode, is the fact that this guy looks like a normal guy, but he's actually doing these horrible things.
Well, and the horrible things that he's doing, it really begs the question of, is he really a bad guy? Or is he just misunderstood? Because we find out from this family that they interview, this lady and her husband, that they have a child who has this Kerr's disease. And we find out, of course, that it's Frederick and the lady's son. And so he's really trying to find at first it turns out what he's really trying to do, they assume, is find out how many people they can affect so that they can push for a cure, because the pharmaceutical companies are saying it's not well known enough, so therefore it's not profitable. So let's make as many people affected as possible, cause an epidemic, and therefore them having to create a cure. But that's not really the case of what's going on.
Right, exactly. But I thought that was a really ingenious idea. I liked the fact that they went there. The fact that he would be infecting all these people just so they would have to spend the money to make a cure for what his son has. It was an interesting premise. But yeah, as you stated, it turns out that although they head down that path for a short while, that's ultimately not the path they need to be on. Yeah,
because when Wrestler came in the room with the gas mask and you heard the one survivor, immediately the light goes on in your head going, he's looking for the one person who doesn't get affected by Kerr's to find an antidote.
Exactly. But he doesn't get away clean from the courthouse. They manage to show up right as he's executing the plan. And of course, our weekly chase ensued.
And what really is interesting about how this ended, this whole situation of she's got the gun, Frederick's holding the guy hostage. She puts the gun down, which we find out is clearly against FBI field regulation protocol. When Wrestler decides to actually turn her in by filing a report after the fact, that, the scene you think was just a normal kind of thing to happen and just kind of filler to close it out, but actually becomes a really important point in the episode later towards the closing.
Exactly. And we'll get to that in just a few moments. But he shoots the windows out and he manages to escape. He causes a diversion and he's off on the run again, out to presumably poison even more people.
He also causes the economy to bottom out because now all my tax dollars have to go to replace those windows.
Those expensive courtroom windows, yes. He's not gone for long because the one survivor is in the hospital. We quickly see him camouflaging himself as a hospital employee, sneaking in the room.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to switch out your meds and put you to sleep, but then to do a spinal tap at the same time while you're out, that's really mad scientist type territory.
Yeah, and you don't know if he's trying, at that point in time, we don't know if he's just trying to kill her, because she just kind of passes out. He puts the IV bag on. That particular scene just ends with him opening up a whole slate of surgical tools.
Well, I guess we'll ask the fans, you don't have to answer just the talkback question. You could use that button in the center of the app to leave any kind of comment. So I'm just curious, did you guys think that he was there to kill her or finish the job? Or do you really think from the start that he was really looking for the cure for his son?
I'd be curious to see what everyone thinks about that. But when we return back, Red's on the plane home. He's done his deal in Cuba. He gets a call from Liz.
And the best part about that conversation is the fact that he's actually willing to hang up and take the gamble, praying that Liz is going to call him back. And he's like, oh, begging for help makes my heart just sing.
Yeah, he has a great line there where he says, I'm not a gumball machine. You can't just turn the spindle anytime you need something or something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing it, but it was a great line delivered in only the way he could deliver it.
So they basically finish things up. They chase Barnes down because he does have the antidote. He goes to the house to basically save the boy. And then, of course, Liz is there eye to eye with him saying, either I shoot you because you're never going to stick that needle in that boy's neck. And you thought for a minute that Liz was going to give into her humane side, but then this conversation she has with Wrestler about the fact that she dropped her gun earlier plays out. You have to be willing to give up one life to save thousands. And of course, she does just that and puts 2 or 3, I think, right into Frederick.
Right, exactly. She makes the tough call this time and takes him down. Of course, as is always the case, Red shows up after the fact. We do find out that Barnes is in fact dead. He says, though, that's a pity. Liz kind of gives him a shocked look and, how could you say that? The man was a monster, killed all these people. Red has for me was the best line in the whole show where he says, someone who is ready to burn the world down to protect the one person he loves. Okay, it's someone I can relate to, or it was okay in my book. I don't remember the exact line, but it was a very great, poignant moment in the episode.
Yeah. So what did you think when he said that at first? Pity. What was the first thought that popped into your head?
I thought that Red got this guy. The guy was being motivated for all the right reason. He was kind of like a Dexter, to make another comparison. Dexter did horrible things, but he was doing it to really bad people. And this guy was just trying to save his son.
Although be it the completely wrong way to go about finding the cure, So I guess that begs the question with Red and our continued saga of is Red Lizzie's father or not? Is Red going about it all the wrong way to get Lizzie back, assuming that Lizzie is her daughter? And then we have this interesting closing section where he goes to this house where they basically paid cash, twice the asking price, in order to buy it off of the real estate broker to get it out of escrow. And literally has some pretty touching moments there through the course of the house. Nice little music in the background as well. Really was sitting there going, where's this going?
Yeah. Red was kind of looking longingly out, having memories of a little girl playing with bubbles in the front yard. At one point, he looks behind a door, obviously looking for, where you track the growth of a child up a door jam type of thing. And he's just feeling very melancholy.
Now, I know some people are going to be like, well, was the little girl the picture that Red had taken from the Stewmakers collection? Was the little girl Lizzie? And I think Red kind of helpfully cleared some of that up tonight because he did have the statement of, I raised my family in this house. So we knew that at least the little girl most likely was not like a sister or a cousin or something. Definitely he's looking at this little girl as a father would look at his child.
Right. But then again, as this show tends to do, that all kind of gets turned on its ear because they leave the house. And one of the people with Red makes a comment of the house must be very special to you. And Red's response is, I spend every day of my life trying to forget what happened here.
And so he takes care of that in one fell swoop. Dombe goes and turns on the gas. And as they pull away, you're just sitting there waiting and kablooey, there it is.
And the house explodes in a bunch of fragments, and that ends that.
So it's going to be a really interesting turn to see where this goes next, because we have a ton of questions, as I'm sure you all do. And of course, the best way to get answers to those questions is to share them with each other. So we're going to pose an interesting talkback question tonight. How far would you go to save someone you love? And we'll let Dave answer first.
And I'll tell you, that is a real tricky question, because as a father of 3 daughters, you like to think that you would move heaven and earth to get to your daughter, but it has to be done within the parameters of the law. So I would do everything that I could legally do to get there. I don't know that I could go to the extreme that our man did here, poisoning hundreds of people to find the cure, but I can certainly understand why he did.
Yeah, and I totally respect people that work in either the FBI, CIA, NSA, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines that have to make these decisions. I mean, I'm a Star Trek fan, so I still live by, Spock's motto of, the good of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. But at the same time, the law is the law, whether it's, religious law or legal law. There's some things that you just can't do. And that's why there's certain people put in place to take care of that for us. But man, if it was my kids, I don't know,
Yeah, it's kind of an all bets are off kind of thing,
It's tough. It is really tough. So what say you guys? Answer the talkback question right there in the center of the app. How far would you go to save someone you love? Or leave any feedback about Frederick Barnes this evening. Just push the button in the center of the TV Talk app to leave your voice for all the fans to hear.
We would still love it a ton if you would share that you listened or gave feedback for TV Talk The Blacklist. But now you can register to win the weekly prizes by visiting tvtalk.com/win. That's tvtalk.com/win and view all the details around the weekly sweepstakes.
Again, thanks to all listening now via iHeartRadio or you there in Stitcher or you in iTunes or wherever the case may be. You can even listen to the full experience on the tvtalk.com website now. But of course, the main reason we do this show is to interact with each other. So you want to get the full experience with the TV Talk app. So download it at tvtalkapp.com because the talkback clips are coming up next. And you don't want to miss what the rest of the fans are saying from this kind of different episode tonight for the Blacklist. So while you listen to those clips, we will check in with Harold, Wrestler, Lizzie, and Red on our case for next week. Until then, I'm Troy.
And I'm Dave, and we continue to rid the world of the criminals on The Blacklist.
And now it's time for this week's Talkback Clips.
We hope you enjoyed this special version of The Blacklist Exposed, previously aired on the TV Talk Network and used with permission. Until next time, I'm Agent Troy Heinritz. That's at Troy Heinritz on Twitter. And if you want to learn more about me, just visit, about.me/Troy Heinritz.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson. You can hear me talking about movies and TV on the Hollywood Outsider podcast, as well as Remake This Movie Right. We are available at thehollywoodoutsiders.com or on Twitter at H_outsider. Be sure to subscribe, download the app, submit your feedback, but most importantly, keep yourself off of The Blacklist.
The Blacklist Exposed is a Golden Spiral Media production. Find more of our great podcasts at goldenspiralmedia.com/podcasts.